What's up, guys? My name is SnyperSama, but you can call me Sniper. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to give a quick shout out to all of you. You may or may not have noticed over the weekend, I made a community post because I hit 1,000 subscribers. Now, truth be told, I didn't think that was ever going to happen. I've been streaming on Twitch for like the last 8 years, and I haven't even broke 500 followers. Granted, I understand it's a different platform, a little different, harder to work with sometimes. That's fine. However, I did not in a million years think that I was going to be able to hit that mark, let alone hit that mark within a year. I started uploading on YouTube December 2nd of last year, 2024. However, I started really diving into YouTube with the build content, the guide content, playthroughs, the whole bit in March when Monster Hunter Wilds came out. And since, we hit 1,000. We hit 500 on October 30th of this year, and as of this recording, it's the middle of December. It's been a month and a half, and you guys have skyrocketed me another 500 to this milestone. And I just wanted to tell you, thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the support. I'm very, very grateful to all of you, and I look forward to the future. That being said, let's get into the build. Today, we are rocking Gogmasios, which is the Rarity 8 longsword, okay, from the Ardean tree. The reason for this is because I am recording this pre-Gogmasios fight, and that's because after some digging of my own, after some research, I've kind of got an idea of how the fight's going to work. Obviously, that's subject to change. We don't know. But I've got a pretty solid idea. And the reason for it, or the reason I'm looking into it, is because I'm probably going to be using this unless I'm using a hunting horn build. The reason I'm thinking you are going to need all of these perks, all of these skills, is because I feel like this monster's going to be hard. I don't know if it's going to be Omega level hard, but it is the first Elder Dragon in Monster Hunter Wilds, which means it's not going to be a pushover. At least it shouldn't be. So, Rarity 8 Ardean Longsword on fire. The reason I opted for this is because you also want your Ardean weapons to be rolled well. If you're like me, I wasn't sure whether element or attack was going to be more beneficial for this fight. I've said it before, I'll say it again, we have no idea what the elemental values are going to be on this monster. However, what we do know, more attack makes monster go dead sooner. Okay? Caveman speak for you, because I have been playing a lot of Greatsword and Hammer, so bonk. Anyways, the reason you are going to roll this, unless you are doing a Charge Blade, a Switch Axe with Elemental Files, a bow, or dual blades to start out your hunts for Gogmasios, is because you want to make sure you are still putting out good damage. When I figure out exactly what is more beneficial, raw attack or element on this monster, I'll make sure to make a build and let you guys know. But for now, I am holding the idea that you want raw attack unless it's an elemental focused weapon, okay? And then we have our Zoshia one. And the reason for the Zoshia is because you need both elements. From what I can tell, it looks like fire is going to be needed to break up the sludge, break up the oil, and quote-unquote the armor of Gogmasios. And then you're going to need the dragon because it is more effective, okay? I'm thinking it might be like an Omega situation where you kind of need two different elements, but we don't know. And just from previous games that I have watched gameplay of to try and have a better idea of what's going on in this fight, this is what the conclusion I came to. Then we have New Udra, and Uthduna Arch-Tempered pieces. The reason for this is Guts. Guts is going to be imperative for one of two reasons. One of two reasons? Yeah, one of two reasons. One, Guts itself gives you pseudo Moxie. If you don't know, your health bar ends up getting a little break in it at about the 33% mark. Okay, 33 to 40%. Basically what that health break is that if you were to take a hit while your health is more than that mark, you'll end up going down to 1 HP, meaning you survive. Now, the reason that's good is because it is going to allow you to have food meals dedicated towards something like Divine Blessing, or attack boost, or stamina management. This is going to allow you to have Moxie without having to eat for Moxie, which is a really, really big thing. And then, on top of that, if you were to use the perk, now, unfortunately, you've lost the 5% damage increase, but the caveat to that is you get, I believe it's +5 in all of your elemental resistances, and you get a 5% defense increase now, which is really, really nice. We don't know how much it's going to matter. However, because I'm recording this prior to, I want to make sure I'm prepared and you guys are prepared as humanly possible. Next up is we have Lagiacrus. Lagiacrus, the reason for that is because we want to make sure that we are getting Azure Bolt. The way this build is going to work with all of the skills in tandem with each other, you are going to have Weakness Exploit, you're going to have Maximum Might, and you're going to have the Azure Bolt. Between those and the little agitator that ends up being at the very end, you are going to give yourself, what is it? I think it's 35% naturally if you don't have any affinity on your Ardian weapon, plus maximum might 65%. Include that with the Azure Bolt proc from Lagiacrus, you're going to be additional 15% when it's active, giving you 80%. And then with Agitator to round it all out together. Why is it not showing me Agitator there? What's going on here? Active skills. There we go. Plus an additional 3%. So you're sitting at about 88% affinity when your skills are active. And Azure Bolt is active a lot. So, truth be told, the only thing you really need to worry about is making sure you're not burning through your stamina. But that's why we have things like Stamina Surge in here. That's why we have Ambush in here to give a little extra damage to start. Self-improvement, because I have a feeling this fight is going to take a while. Okay? So, we kind of skipped the deco section, so we're going to go back to it real quick. For our weapons, I am recommending these sets. Now, these sets are going to vary weapon to weapon. What I would like to say, though, is this is probably going to be exactly what you use when it comes to Zoshia weapons, if you're using Zoshia weapons as your dragon counterpart. I don't have very well-rolled dragon weapons in every slot, because eventually I will fight Gogmasios with everything. However, I do have Zoshia weapons with every single slot. Meaning, I would recommend you rock this. Dragon with a critical element, Handicraft by itself, and then one more critical element. Now, the reason for this is because you can put critical element in your rarity 8 talisman, assuming you have one. We'll get into that in a second. At least for Zoshia weapons, this is what I would recommend. If you are not using Zoshia, more than likely you're using an Ardian one, in which case I would recommend a split like this, completely nullifying the need for a critical element charm. Okay, so let me repeat that one more time. If you are using Zoshia, you want this setup with critical element on your charm, preferably a rarity 8 charm. That way you have the additional deco slot, okay? Weapon deco slot. If you are using Ardian, you can forget what I just said. The reason I say that is because you can make everything work as is, okay? You are going to use a Blaze or Dragon with a Handicraft. You are then going to use critical element with Handicraft, and then one critical jewel 3. Not only is this going to let you take full advantage of your respective element, fire or dragon, you're going to have a critical element, which is going to give you an additional boost to your elements, and you're going to get Handicraft to where you don't have to worry about sharpening, because I'm going to be real. That fight looks insane. If I'm having to sharpen in the middle of it, I'm terrified. I don't want to be doing that. So you can see my sharpness bar, it's up there. And I recommend yours is too. And last but not least, critical jewel 3. The reason for critical jewel 3 is we still want to make sure we're doing really good damage. So what better way to do so than to increase our critical hit damage, okay? Especially because it goes from 24% up to 34%, which is just 10% extra damage, which is really, really nice, okay? Last but not least, we're going to go over our armor decorations. The reason we are going to hit these so hard and why I recommend you use these exact ones. I know I say in the past, hey, use what makes you comfortable. I am recommending these specifically, and the reason for it is because it gives you a little bit of everything so you don't have to worry as bad, okay? The way I have crafted this is it lets you hit every main category that I think people might get screwed over in, if I'm being real, okay? So, 3 Steadfast. Steadfast is for stun resistance. Stun resistance is going to be really nice because it's going to stop you from getting caught with your pants down, okay? Next up is we have our Tenderizer Jewels. This gives us Weakness Exploit level 5. Weakness Exploit level 5 guarantees us to at least have 35% affinity as long as we're not hitting a hard spot on the monster. Next up is we have a Counter Jewel, and that's because, let's be real, we all know we're going to get decimated in this fight, okay? Absolutely, it's going to happen, which means might as well come back swinging and swing a little harder. Next up is we have 2 Mighty Jewels. This gives us maximum might completed. It's fully leveled up, which means between the weakness exploit, the maximum might, as long as those two things are active, you have a minimum of 65% affinity, letting you take full advantage of critical boost and a critical element. See where I'm getting? Okay. Next step is we have the protection jewel. Protection jewel is really, really nice and arguably one of the best skills in the game. And the reason for it is because there is a chance you don't take as much damage. This is where having guts or moxie comes into play, because if you can prevent yourself from getting absolutely decimated and basically one shot, because I'm assuming that's going to happen. From what I can tell, this looks to be kind of like a Safi Jiva if you've played Monster Hunter World Iceborne. It's kind of what this is reminding me of. So, protection is going to make it, Divine Blessing is going to make it to where you don't have to worry as much, and there's a chance you get insanely lucky, and you were able to survive not one, but 2 or 3 or even more hits, because Divine Blessing procs when it wants to proc. We can't control it. Last but not least, we have my Rarity 8 Charm. And this Rarity 8 Charm is huge for me specifically. This Rarity 8 Charm is the one that I recommend all of you end up trying for. I actually don't have another alternative for this other than a critical element if you are using Zoshia weapons. Razor Sharp is great. Razor Sharp is going to make it to where you don't have to worry about your stamina nearly as much. It'll prevent your weapon from losing sharpness whenever you hit, which is great. Super, super nice, especially on something like Longsword, where you're not attacking super fast, but you're also not attacking super slow. It's not like Greatsword, but it's not like Dual Blades. It's that middle ground, okay? The reason I opted to use this Razor Sharp Charm is because of the decoration slots that it was able to come with. Not only is Razor Sharp a wonderful perk to have on weapons, but because I also rolled one with 1 weapon deco and 2 armor decos, I was able to take full advantage and give myself critical element, give myself growth, because these fights are going to take a while, and shockproof, meaning I don't have to worry about messing somebody up or somebody messing me up. The alternatives to this Golden Age Charm with Razor Sharp, because I recommend you use the Golden Age Charm anyways, just to make sure you can cap out your critical element, at least in my opinion, what I can think about, I would recommend you go for something like probably Fire Resist, probably Dragon Resist, something along those lines, or you can go balls to the wall with Attack Boost, okay? It's kind of up to you guys. You need to decide what works best for you. The only other one that I can really think of that I would recommend and actively say would be really, really nice for you is Recovery Up. And the reason for Recovery Up is because Recovery Up itself increases your recovery. I understand. Very, very helpful answer. I know. Basically, level 1, 10% health increase. Level 2, 20% health increase. Level 3, 30%. What this means is let's say you have someone that is using Dust of Life on you because you are weak. Let's say a Dust of Life heals for 50. Instead of healing for 50, you're going to heal for an additional 30% of 50. My brain doesn't want to work, but we can assume that that is somewhere around 15 to 18 health. Okay? That doesn't sound like a lot. However, that can and will be the difference between you getting clapped and you not getting clapped, because you only have 150 health to begin with. So if you're getting healed for, say, 65 instead of 50, that might be the little boost you need. This is why I'm going to recommend Recovery Up, just because if you don't have critical element, you don't have Razor Sharp, you want something that's still going to benefit you in every aspect. And unless you're a speedrunner, you're gonna get hit, meaning you might as well get healed for a little bit more. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you all for coming and watching. Thank you all for hanging out. I hope you guys are enjoying the Gogmasios fights like I am. I hope you guys are having a good time with them like I am. And if you guys need help, you know where to find me. The Discord is linked on my YouTube channel. That is going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you all for coming and watching. Thank you all for hanging out. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Farewell. I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit.